Ellen, my first question is directed towards you. I was curious to know when you find it appropriate to make physical contact with anyone with a disability.
Well, I think in this case, and I have actually personally had this happen to me in stores, I've been hit with shopping carts. In this case, just as in the right scenario, it's okay to tap somebody on the shoulder if obviously you're speaking and they're not hearing you. The other thing that you can do too is just kind of wave your hand, get into the person's peripheral vision and wave your hand so they know that somebody else is there.
Could you maybe possibly kind of explain a little bit between the difference between deaf and hard of hearing?
There are a lot of people actually that will say different things about what's deaf and hard of hearing. Medically speaking, anything that is above 85 decibels of loss means that you are considered deaf, and anything less than that is hard of hearing. Although there are people that have a very, severe loss, and they do consider themselves deaf. But medically speaking, that's what the difference is. It has to do with the decibel loss.
Mm-hmm. I have a question for you on. I want to know how American Sign Language, or ASL, is easy to learn. Is it easy or hard to learn to
Well, American Sign Language, I think it's something that's a lot of fun, I think. I didn't learn it when I was growing up. I learned it later on. I was in my 20s when I learned. And it's something that I think, like any language, it's difficult to kind of pick up, but once you start getting going on it and once you are using it a lot, and I am right now working with deaf and hard of hearing people able to use it a lot more. So the more practice I get, the more I seem to improve, hopefully.
I know with an experience with me in the grocery store when I use my wheelchair, just being in the aisles and people have their carts, and they're looking at their stuff, and because I'm a little low to the ground, they don't really see me all that well. So I'm like, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. And then I have to literally go over and you just touch them just gently. Excuse me, can I get by you? Because they're thinking I might be walking and being able to sneak by them because I have enough room, but I'm in my wheelchair, so it's not as easy. Do either of you ever had any experiences like that in the grocery store?
Yeah, I think I can relate to that because me and my mom were in a grocery store once, and I was on my way to get some quarters at the customer service. And while I was doing that, they just pretended like I didn't exist because so I was like, excuse me. So what I had to do, I had to raise my hand and say, excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can you please help me out real quick, please? And then say, just give me a minute and I'll be right with you. And that's when I did.
Do you think that a lot of customer service people act that way out of lack of knowledge of people with disabilities or just out of rudeness?
That is a good question because to tell you the truth, they just do. It can go both ways, to be honest with you, because they can just go like, they can be rude with people with disabilities, or they might not know that they have disabilities. So it can go either way. So I don't think so. So from my perspective, I would say they would either just not get too personal. Just say I'm a little hard of hearing, or if they're not have disability, just say I've been waiting for a long time.
Excellent. Okay, the third skit we're gonna see now.
On the third scene, it's going to be played out on the deli. We're going to have 3 customers coming in. 2 of these customers are deaf. They take their number, they go on to wait online. However, they don't hear when the number is called. We're going to have Jessica come in and grab another number because she's waiting online and she sees that these two other customers don't move fast enough. She decides to cut them off. When it's brought to her attention, she decides to brush them off and just go, well, too bad, is her response.
Here's your ham.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a nice day.
You too.
Who has number 32?
They're not listening. Can I have half a pound of salami, please?
What's your number?
33.
Okay. Here's your salami.
Thank you. You guys weren't listening. That's too bad. I'm sorry.
Now we're going to play it the right way. Again, we're going to have two customers who are deaf trying to order at the deli. They grab a number. Jessica will come after them, grab another number, and try to order her meat. Once the first number is called, she goes off to Sherry and Joy and lets them know that the number is being called. Then proceeds to wait for her turn.
Here's your honey turkey.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a nice day.
You too.
Who has number 32?
Excuse me? Call me a
32?
number. You're welcome.
What can I get you? Turkey? Here you go. What can I get you, ma'am?
Half a pound of salami, please.
Sure.
Well, the first question that came to mind for me was, in this situation, do you think that any amount of responsibility should be placed on the customer service representative?
I would personally think yes. I do think a lot, actually, going back to your earlier question about customer service people and whether it's just lack of knowledge. I do think that a lot of the times it is, they just don't know what to do. It also just has to do with awareness and, basic respect for people. To me, it's just rude to try to cut in line, whether somebody's deaf or not. But, in this case, I think, that it is up to the deli worker or the customer service person to try to find out who has that number.
In the grocery store, could there be maybe some different kinds of technology that they could use to get a person with who's deaf or hard of hearing their attention?
I'm not sure. Not anything that I've ever seen, but it's certainly helpful now that they're not usually calling the numbers, but they have a screen that's got the numbers and shows them. So deaf people, hard of hearing people, I think, at least for me, I'm a lot more aware of, because I know I'm not going to hear somebody. So I'm always looking, to see when that number of mine comes up.
Well, I have a question for the deli counter skit. During the scene where Jessica cut in front of them and she didn't know how to, and they were just being rude, and she was being rude to the kids, to the people that were hard of hearing. Shouldn't the representative for the deli counter just say, "Excuse me, you were cutting them," and just, don't you think she should just step in and just say something?
I think that she should. She should have stepped in and said something. And no, when she asked in that scene, she did ask Jessica, "What is your number?" And it was clearly not the next number, so she should have said something.
Yeah, because when I look at the skit, I was like, hey, something's not right. You just found, and then I realized that she got her number later before her number was called, and then all of a sudden she just decided that, hey, I'm just gonna cut right in front of them and not care what they think. I mean, it's not what she said exactly, but it's what she said. What she was like impatient. She should be patient in order to wait for your meat or wait for something to get that you want in the store, or just want to check out the grocery store completely. That's just completely rude.
I think it goes back to the customer service responsibility to say, hey, I'm on number 32, not on number 33.
And we have to remember, I think, that this skit is a bit on the extreme side.
Yes.
But
Sure.
personally, I've had some really extreme things happen that you would not even believe, just like out and out rudeness. So even though it is pointing out something that, I mean, the people were clearly speaking in sign language and those kind of things, but it's just to bring about the obvious ignorance and lack of knowledge that is out there, and just be respectful of all different people.
Mm-hmm.